Hi, I'm Lesley Canarium, Reader Conversations Librarian at the Rogers Public Library, and I'm here to walk you through the December Adult Take It, Make It project, which is holiday fleece trees. And this is a project I originally saw on Pinterest, as I know a lot of you go there, and I really liked it because it's something that you can modify in so many different ways depending on your particular style. Everyone's gonna get in their kit a long piece of fleece and nice holiday colors. If you enjoy doing this project, you can certainly pick up more with different patterns. I just like the plaid. You're going to want to cut it long ways in either in half or in thirds, or I didn't try this, but I suppose you could do it even in quarters. You're also going to get a foam cone. This is a project that you might want to make multiples of. So if you decide to do that and you don't want to go out and buy more cones of your own, that they can get a little pricey, I've also given you a pattern to make one out of cardboard. It's really easy. You can just cut it out, and then you'll need a piece of cardboard, or I suppose even really thick paper. You don't want too thick of cardboard because it's hard to bend. I just used an old beat up piece of manila file folder, and it was just the perfect amount of stiffness. Just trace your pattern. You don't have to be too fussy. And the thing that you'll want to decide is how tall you want your trees to be. I made one where I used both manila folders, so I extended it so it was like almost this tall. And I made one which was considerably shorter, so I could have a nice variety of height. So you'll just adjust the bottom curve to reflect what you want. Cut out your pattern. This will all be invisible, so you'll want to tape it shut. I would recommend against using Scotch tape because it tends to not hold well enough, at least not the Scotch tape we have. So craft tape, masking tape, or as I've got here, some duct tape. So just overlap. Tape it here at the bottom, tape it here at the top. And I'm going to get one more piece of tape just for good measure. Here in the middle. As I said, it doesn't matter what this looks like. It's all going to be completely invisible, so it's fine that this just looks really shoddy. What you want is just something that's going to stand tall and straight. And if you mess up cutting the bottom's curve and it tilts, you can just trim that up. That's fine, no biggie. So you'll have all those cones to work with. There are many different ways you can wrap it around the cone. The original pattern I saw just said, oh, just take your fleece cloth and wrap it around. And, you can do that. You want to trim it off at the end there. That doesn't look bad. It's kind of neat. It's got kind of a rustic look to it. If I were to do this, I would probably decorate it maybe with straw or wooden decorations to maybe a little twine to keep that rustic look going. But when I saw that, I said, we can get fancier than that. So I went ahead and cut myself a couple of nice strips. I used myself, if you've got them, I'd recommend using pinking shears or other fancy kinds of scissors if you have those, just because they make kind of an interesting edge there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a ruffle in here. So just take needle and thread. Doesn't matter what color thread because people won't be able to see it. And you'll want to put it through your needle and you'll want to double it. Make sure it's doubled. put a knot at each end. You don't want to tie the ends together. You want to have two separate knots, maybe double knots, make them nice and big, because what you're going to do then is about a 1/4 inch from the top. You're just going to start a plain old running stitch with maybe 1/4 inch stitches. You don't want them too small because then it won't ruffle nicely, but you don't want them too big either. So you can see I just take it through and pull it through, and you can see how we're starting a bit of a ruffle here. This takes some time, but it's easy. So this is a great thing to be doing while you're sitting in front of the TV. Just sit here and keep your running stitch going. As you can see, as you put this ruffle in and pull it tight, it's going to curl up on itself in a kind of a spiral, which is great. That's exactly what we want it to do. Alrighty, now I've pulled these ruffles pretty tight, which you can do, but you need to decide before you tie the final knot how tight you want your ruffle to be, because the looser it is, the longer it will be, and the further it'll go around your tree. So I'm just going to kind of measure this. Since I've got 2, I want this to go about halfway around the tree, and it doesn't quite. So I'll loosen this up just a little. Just gently, gently pull. This is why you want the double threads, so you can sort of gently pull on it without it snapping, which would be annoying because then you'd have to start all over. Let's make this ruffle just a little looser there. Let's try it again this time. Okay, yeah, that's going to go about halfway. That's perfect. So I'll take the thread and knot it off here. Now you're ready to start putting your tree together. At this point, you'll want to have probably a hot glue gun. It'll make the job a lot simpler. If you don't have a hot glue gun, you can use regular glue. You'll just have to hold things in place until the glue sets. And let's turn this upside down and go along where the thread is and just start dripping a little bit of glue. Please, please, especially if you're doing this with little ones, remember that hot glue is hot. It will burn you. I have burned myself so many times on the hot glue. I can't even tell you. So start going around the bottom. You're just going to want to do this patiently. Do this bit by bit. Okay, we're meeting where we started, so we're going to want to just sort of jump up here and make a little bit of a spiral to do the next layer. On we go. You see how we're covering up. You can see the part where you sewed is getting covered up, so I love projects where you can hide your work, because that means I can be sloppy and messy and nobody will know. Alrighty. I'm going to go down to the end a little bit here, so that will set that down. Okay, and just like I was hoping, we made it about halfway. So I've got the other ruffle that I made, and we're just gonna once again get that edge a little bit, and pick up where we left off. And when we get to the top here, we're just gonna spin this around, and I'm gonna squish that apple just a little bit to cover the top. And there we go, a perfectly cute Christmas tree, and this is great, but just the way it is. But if you've ever seen any of these projects before, you'll know that I always say, oh, but wait, let's bling it up. So if you're like me, you've probably got tons of little bits of trim and beads and buttons and all sorts of stuff around in your craft that you've in your craft drawer that you've hung on to. So here's the little one that I made before with the paper cone. And I was so excited to find that I had these star-shaped buttons, which is great. If you don't have anything like that, you can use just any fancy button for the top, or you could even make a little paper angel, or there's all sorts of possibilities. So I'm just going to put a good glop of glue on here. And glue a star on top. Let me hold that. I'm sure you'll also have some rickrack or something like that. I've got this, oh yeah, this beautiful shiny sparkly chain that was for another project, and I just had enough left that was too short to do anything with, but you know how you hang on to it. So I'll just put a good glob of glue there and get it started. I don't want to glue it all the way around because you want it to hang sort of naturally, I suppose, to look more like a Christmas tree decoration. And then I'll put a bit of glue at the end to finish it off, to hold it all into place. These are going to go on my mantelpiece, so I'm probably going to have a definite front and back, which gives me a little leeway. You can also put them in the middle of your table as a centerpiece. And so you'll want to be a little bit more careful about making sure your decoration goes all the way around. So we have this little guy, shiny guy, to go with the undecorated one. Or if you really want to go all out, I made a taller version of that cone and broke into my bead stash and got all the bling I could get. So here we go. A nice happy holiday tree, family. I hope you have fun. I'd love for you to post what you come up with so I can see how creative you all are. And join me again next month in January when we're going to do something a little more low-key and make braided paper bookmarks.